Well, good day. So, according to that one Christmas song, the thing to do at Christmas is tell scary ghost stories. So for this video, let's tell that scary ghost story of when Scooby Doo and his buddies went up against that Christmas ghost. So, alright, let's go.
So, we start off in an orphanage where the Scooby Doo Detective Agency, featuring Scooby Doo, Shaggy, Daphne, and Scrappy Doo, along with the help of their old buddy Fred, are helping set up the stage for the upcoming Christmas pageant, with the help of the overseer of the orphanage, Mrs. Featherwig. And what a grand old time everyone is having, right? Fred helps Tiny Tina put the Nutcracker Prince on top of the tree because it is super fancy and all that. When suddenly, the fun time is over, kids. Winslow Nicklby is looking to shut the whole thing down. And I'm not talking about the Christmas pageant, nay, I'm talking about the frickin' orphanage. His family used to own this building, so now, on Christmas Eve, might I add, he wants to buy the place for $5,000 and kick all the kids out on the street. Holy crap, hey? Like, that's as horribly cliche as you can get. Or is it? Let me check my jerk index report here, and yeah, that's definitely top 3. Can't be much of a bigger cliche jerk than that. But after Scrappy beats the crap out of Winslow's cat, Snowball, Winslow, his cat, and his lawyer take off, vowing to return. Jeez, man, like, at least wait until Groundhog's Day, you know? Give these kids a chance! Sheesh. Meanwhile, back at the pageant rehearsal, so the gang are rehearsing the play where Ebenezer Shaggy is waiting for the Scoob of Christmas Past when... BAM! Another ghost pops up! And this ghost is none other than... the Ghost of Christmas Never! And, well, that's completely terrifying. So it's time to leave, which they do with no shame. And they leave all the kids in the house with the ghost. But, you know, it is kind of nice to see Shaggy and the two Dags start to fight back. They try to kill the Ghost of Christmas Never with the Christmas Spirit. And it starts to look like it's working. Or, you know, they just toss the ghost down a hill and slam it into a tree. That's also a proper ghost-busting technique, you know. I believe a ghost can still get a severe concussion, after all. So, now that the Scooby detectives have composed themselves and, you know, changed their underwear, they go back inside the orphanage to search for clues. Who could this ghost have been? I wonder if it possibly could have been that Nickleby guy who threatened everyone there? Maybe that's what they want you to think. But, oddly enough, all of the clues are pointing towards Winslow Nicklby. So now it's time to expand the investigation. Therefore, at Winslow Nickleby's crib, the gang meets some of Winslow's staff, Mrs. Muffin Stuffer. And she's a baker. Oh my god, like that was preordained. But, you know, she's baking cookies for the pageant, for the kids, so she can't be a suspect. But we meet the mistress, the maid, Nanette Musette. And she is in a tizzy. Oh my god, right? Like, she's so distraught about Monsieur Nickleby's new plans to take back the children's house. Sorry, that was more of a German accent than a French one. I really gotta work on that. Regardless, the Scooby Gang follows her concerns and listens in to Winslow's lawyer talking about Winslow's uncle's will, where we find out that his family has a priceless emerald somewheres inside the orphanage. Sacre bleu! That is why he wants to go to the orphanage so bad! Ha! That jerk Scrooge knockoff! Back at the orphanage, the Scooby Gang finds a clue that the emerald is in the Christmas pageant star. So now they gotta go around the house and try to find this thing, but instead, they find the Ghost of Christmas Never! Or the ghost finds them. After the usual running around the place, eventually the ghost is defeated by Scooby Claus and his elf, if only as a momentary defeat. So I guess a small moral victory, for the team, but this leads to a much larger defeat. Winslow Nicklby has returned. As prophesized, he has gained legal authority from the city building inspector to have the orphanage listed as condemned, and that everyone residing in said orphanage must be out by tomorrow. Tomorrow as in Christmas Day. Like, yoinks! Actually, yoinks doesn't even cover it. Like, is that legal? Was there even an inspection to find out that this place is condemned? What's that? Winslow is really good friends with the city building inspector? Oh, never mind. This all makes perfect sense. Damn it. So Scooby and the gang and Miss Featherby, they don't really want to worry the children, so they all plan to have everything go as tickety-boo as usual, and to put the pageant forward without telling the kids about the horrible Christmas news. Later, at the pageant, the play is The Nutcracker, where Winslow realizes that the emerald is in the star of the pageant, and the star of the pageant is the Nutcracker, so it must be in the costume that Fred is wearing. So he jumps on stage and starts to attack Fred in front of the entire audience, and nobody is doing anything about this old man beating the crap out of a teenager. Like, what the hell, eh? And even Daphne is just standing there watching this whole ordeal go down, but at this point she realizes that the Nutcracker star of the pageant must be that toy Nutcracker that Tiny Tina put on top of the Christmas tree. That makes so much more sense! Unfortunately, the ghost of Christmas Never overhears this, where it proceeds to gank the Nutcracker off the tree and then takes off. After a wonderfully Christmas chase down a hill ensues, the ghost of Christmas Never is caught, where we find that the ghost is actually Nanette Musette, the maid? Or the future felon? Well, to be fair, she hasn't had her trial yet, but the evidence is overwhelming, so she will indeed spend Christmas in jail. Isn't that a country song? Christmas in jail? Yeah, it is. Ha! That's you, Nanette! Scrappy finds the emerald inside the Nutcracker, which Winslow takes possession of, seeing as legally it is his. Meanwhile, back at the orphanage, so it's Christmas morning, which usually should be pretty happy and wonderful, but really everyone should be packing their bags and leaving, due to the city ordinance, right? But they are not. And it's a good thing, because now that Winslow Nicklby has that priceless emerald, he is as giddy as a schoolboy. He buys a bunch of gifts for all the kids, he is full of the Christmas spirit, or his bank account is. And for his final good deed of Christmas, he whips up the condemnation report from the city inspector, which, can he do that legally, or does he have to go through a whole bunch of channels? Well, either way, it's voided, so the kids can continue to live there. Hooray! God bless us, everyone! And with that, that is the end of this Scooby Doo Tale!
Well, yes indeed, eh? Not too bad of an episode there. So I do gotta say, for Scooby-Doo and all that, I did not really watch a whole lot of the series when it was during the Scrappy-Doo era. So for this Christmas special, I actually never seen it before. But I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of familiar things in this one, right? The whole story being very familiar, to that classic Christmas carol. Called A Christmas Carol. Also, other familiar things like kids putting on a Christmas play. I do vaguely remember being in a Christmas play in elementary school. I do believe I was dressed as a Silver Bell, I think, and I was just a background singer, but still, I was there. And of course, nothing like getting the whole family around together and setting up a Christmas tree, drinking cocoa and all that kind of stuff. Memories! Also with that, I do like the fact that they used a Nutcracker Prince as the tree topper. To some people, that might seem silly, Only a star or an angel can go on top of a tree, But the Nutcracker Prince, man, I can totally get behind that. After all, on top of my tree, I have an old Nintendo cartridge box for Super Mario 3. The box is yellow, you know, kind of like a lot of stars are colored in as. And Mario is flying on the cover of it just like an angel flies, you know, so it makes total sense. And we also get to the familiarity of the main villain, the Ghost of Christmas Never. And I gotta say, hey, the Ghost of Christmas Never? That is a hardcore name. Probably a bit too hardcore for this episode, you know? A name like that would suggest that it's a ghost that's planning on ending Christmas one way or another. Something that is a bit more diabolical than just trying to steal an emerald or something and scare a bunch of orphans. So the ghost in this featured episode should have probably had a different name, kind of going with the theme of the episode, you know? The Ghost of Christmas Greed, you know? Or the Ghost of Christmas Drinking? Yeah, that would be me, man. I'd just be passed out on the ground with a bunch of bottles of eggnog and rum wrapped around me. You can't see an emerald around here. So yeah, man, still like a pretty awesome episode. It's got pretty awesome characters, but there's no real moral lessons to learn at the end of this one, as opposed to, say, like A Christmas Carol. I guess with Winslow, you know, buying all those gifts for everybody, the moral is, money does buy happiness. Who knew?
Although, realistically, the reason that Winslow had to change a heart was because Tiny Tina saved his cat, Snowball, from being stuck in the rafters. So I guess, yeah, humanity won in the end.
But if you haven't checked it out before, I suggest you do so, because it's Scooby good. But with that, we do have some more behind-the-scenes kind of things with Scooby-Doo and Ebenezer Scrooge and all that kind of stuff going down over here.
So yes, indeed, hey, Scooby-Doo and his Christmas special episode. So as we all know, Scooby-Doo's been around for quite some time. So he and his buddies in Mystery Inc., being Shaggy, Daphne, Velma, and Fred, first appeared in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? In 1969. And since then, we have had a whole bunch of new Scooby-Doo TV series with different variations of these ghost-busting teenagers. You know, like sometimes some characters would leave, sometimes they would come back, sometimes we would get new characters like Scrappy-Doo and Whoopsie-Doo and stuff like that. And so, for the series that this featured episode was in, the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries, it is actually the 6th Scooby-Doo themed TV show, and the show which we get this Christmas episode, which turns out is actually the series finale of the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries. Not only that, but it is the first Christmas episode of any of the Scooby-Doo shows or cartoon movies up until the point of this episode's release. Sure, you know, like there were some winter-themed episodes earlier on, like the gang was skiing or something and they got chased by the abominable snowman or whatever, but it was a winter theme, you know, and winter in of itself is not exactly a Christmas theme. You know, I guess they could have been on Christmas break or something, but still, not a Christmas theme. Even in this series of Scooby-Doo Mysteries, they did get really close to Christmas stuff. For example, in the episode Night of the Living Toys, they did go up against a bunch of elves in a toy factory, you know. They looked like Santa's elves, but they were not. But still, you know, pretty close. In another episode, they went to the South Pole, which almost the North Pole, but you know, the exact opposite end of the planet. So for this episode, the Nutcracker Scoob, we indeed finally got our first full-on Christmas theme, which, as it goes for many, many, many movies, cartoons, TV shows, whatever, is just a rendition of the Charles Dickens classic Christmas story, A Christmas Carol. But this one, you know, it's not an exact rendition of the story, it's just more of a homage. But a pretty darn close homage, you know, nonetheless, right? Especially with the characters, right? Like, you did have a Ebenezer Scrooge type character with Winslow Nicklby, Both Winslow and Scrooge did have a change of heart at Christmas and became really nice people, but for two different reasons, you know? Scrooge not wanting eternal damnation, and Winslow, finding the emerald that he wanted the whole time. And it makes sense that Winslow was really happy at the end of this, right? Seeing as the whole point of him wanting to shut down the orphanage was so he can have full access to it to find that damn emerald. So when he finally found it, man, like, yippee hooray, he's totally happy, right? And a fun little fun fact, Winslow's last name, Nickleby, is a reference to another character from author Charles Dickens with his story from one of his earlier stories, The Life and Death of Nicholas Nickleby. So nice little layering of the character references. Also, Winslow's lawyer, who actually didn't have a name in this episode, you could say that he's kind of a Bob Cratchit kind of reference, I guess in the fact that he was employed by Winslow, kind of like Cratchit was with Scrooge. Different reasons, but yeah, there's kind of something there, For other characters, we had Mrs. Featherwig, the nice lady who was looking after the orphanage. Like, her name is basically a parody reference to Mr. Fezziwig, Scrooge's old boss from that warehouse, that happy, delightful character. Of course, if you're doing a Christmas Carol, you need a Tiny Tim character. And we got a reference to that character with Tiny Tina. But unlike Tiny Tim, Tiny Tina was in perfect health, Nothing wrong with her. But just a stand-in for the Tiny Tim character, I guess. But the big stand-in for characters, of course, would be the Ghost of Christmas Never, which is a homage to the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, but really a more direct reference to the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, which is basically the Grim Reaper, and which is basically what the Ghost of Christmas Never dresses like. So one of the other main Christmas references in here was the Nutcracker, aka the Nutcracker Prince, aka the Nutcracker and the Mouse King, sugar plums and fairies and all that stuff. So the Nutcracker was the play that the Scooby Doo gang performed at the end of the episode, which is kind of funny because the play that they were rehearsing earlier in the episode was A Christmas Carol. So how they got to Nutcracker Prince, I got no idea. Unless they did more than one play there, but man, that is a lot of work. Whew. The other Christmas reference would be from the song Jingle Bells, specifically the lyric, "Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh," which we did see the gang having fun in a one-horse open sleigh. But the thing that I really liked about it was that the sleigh itself was a sleigh version of the Mystery Machine. And they even called it the Mystery Sled. It's awesome because it's kind of like Batman, He's got the Batmobile, the Batboat, the Batcopter. So for the Scooby-Doo gang to have the mystery this, the mystery that, perfect. So the nice little Christmas gift to the audience is having Fred in the episode. So for this series, Fred is not one of the main characters. He is a recurring character that pops in hither and dither, but you don't always see him. So to see him hanging out with his friends at Christmas is actually really nice. But on the other hand, we did not see that other occasional character in this episode, Velma. Maybe she had too much eggnog and rum and couldn't make it out. Who knows? But it's all hip, I guess, because the whole Mystery Inc. gang would eventually get back together in the series, A Pup Named Scooby Doo, which is groovy. And in future Scooby Doo TV series, the entire gang would get into a bunch of Christmas hijinks in a whole slew of Christmas-themed episodes, which is great! So this featured episode really broke the dam for Christmas episodes open for Scooby Doo, so I will have more content in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this featured episode and Scooby-Doo's first foray into Christmas, so I will leave it all here. And so with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess, that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastomorph. with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yay! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.